Hello parents and boys, welcome to 2021. I've got to say that I say that with a bit of irony because it's really not the place I had hoped we would be at when we return to school, and I'm certain that is the same for parents and boys. I think we all ended last year with high hopes, and those have been dashed to some extent by the rise in infections, the return to lockdown levels that we'd had previously in the year. And I'm certain there's some anxiety and some concern out there. I'd like to refer to Donald Rumsfeld's words from a couple of generations ago, where he said that there are known knowns, those are the things that we know. There are unknown knowns, the things that we don't know. And there are also unknown unknowns, and those are the things that we don't know that we don't know. And I guess that's a really good allusion to where we are right now. There's a lot of talk going on across the various networks, particularly across various principals networks, and I've been in contact with our local heads and with the public boys' schools heads, and we're debating and discussing. And I guess the frustrating part of it all is that we don't actually know what it is that we're going to be allowed to do by the time the boys return. So there are things we think we know we'll be allowed to do and where we will be allowed to be. We're waiting on some regulation from the department and guidance in various areas. We have a little bit of guidance in terms of the gazettes that have come out, although those gazettes actually create some ambiguity for us and make it quite difficult to make decisions. So at present, this is what we're hoping. We're hoping that by the 15th, the infections will have gone down enough, as it seems they are, for us to have the full school here. I think if anything, across the course of last year, we learnt that online teaching really is good for only a few. Some boys thrive, some students manage really well, but the vast majority actually struggled through it, and particularly our juniors, grade 8s and 9s, found it really difficult to connect, to make connections, and to study on their own. And it's been quite interesting talking to heads across a broad spectrum as well in this regard. I've often received from parent groups or from talking to parents, but this other school is doing it this way. And when I've spoken to this other school, it's quite clear that this other school is also struggling in terms of the way in which things are being implemented. The only places where I've seen online teaching really properly implemented is in schools that are clearly set up for one-to-one teaching. In other words, they have networks, they have Chromebooks, they have iPads across the board. The kids have been trained in the use of them. The school's infrastructure is set up to make that work. And generally, these are schools that have very small groups in them. So my wife, for instance, teaches at Cannons Creek, and it works really well for them in very small groups. But clearly, the bigger you get, the more inclined there are for pupils who are going to get lost, and the bigger we get, the more variables there are in the system. So, for instance, one school that was referred to by a parent to me who said, this school is running an online teaching program. I chatted to the head. The head said, yes, we are, but we've got around about 65% of our pupils who are actually successfully online. That means in a school of 1,000 pupils, roughly 400 pupils are not online. 400 pupils are not being taught. And while that might be acceptable to some, it certainly isn't acceptable to me. I don't think we can run a school where we have 60% of our kids getting proper instruction and 40% not. Where 60% can afford to run online, but 40% can't afford to run online, where connections are good in some places but not good in others. It's really not fair, and it's not the way we'd like our school to run. And actually, we're a very successful face-to-face school, and that's what we'd like to do. So our first option, plan A, is to get all the pupils back into the school and to run with face-to-face teaching from the start. And it appears that by the regulations we are going to be allowed to do that, with caution, obviously. But if things change, then we'll have to look at a different plan, and that might be plan B. And that plan B would then say to us that we can have kids on campus in tranches. We have to have the matrics here full time, and we would like to have the grade 8s here full time to start with. So plan B might be to have the grade 12s, grade 8s and 9s in the school on a full-time basis and do a turnover with grade 10s and 11s. Obviously, being a boarding school, there are other complications because parents cannot bring their kids in every second day for boarding. They have to have a full run at it, so we'd have to work on a week-on, week-off basis as we did last year. And it's the complexities within the school system that make these things quite difficult. One thing we can be assured of, and we're very certain of, is that we can deliver the curriculum. There have already been some changes to the curriculum for this year. We have been told that the new calendar is a 200-day calendar, and that is a standard number of days. So 200 days is what we would normally teach for. The adjusted calendar allows for 200 days, so it means no teaching time is lost at this point. If there is a change in the situation and the shutdown levels change, then we're obviously going to have to relook at that, and we'd have to look at the way in which we can deliver and so on and so forth. But as things stand at present, we would like to have the full group of pupils here from the start of the year, and we would like to then be able to deliver the curriculum as normal over the normal 200 days that we would do so. If things change, we will obviously keep you informed, and we will have to look at that. We are getting calls from parents already about what do we do. We will inform you. We're in the process of planning with the things that we know and the known knowns that we have. It's the unknowns that we've got to take into account as well, and it's going to take us some time to cover our bases. So we need to interact with other schools, we need to interact with our staff, we need to be sure that we're going down the right path. We have a planning meeting on Thursday where we will look at dates and times, and we will certainly be informing you as to when the grade 8s can come in and get their textbooks, when the grade 12s can come in and get their textbooks, when we will run an orientations, particularly for the grade 8s this year. All of that is being planned and will be communicated to you. Please be patient with us. We can only work on the information we're getting in. I know lots of schools are going ahead with online teaching. I don't think that's necessary right now. And in consultation with our SMT, we don't think that's necessary if we're going to have the full 200 days. If we are not, then obviously we need to look at alternatives. But I wish you well in the lead up to coming back to school on the 15th. We will be in communication and we will be telling you what we are doing. Please do not panic. Please do not get worried. We understand, and we will make it work for this year as we did last year and as we have done in the previous years as well. Thank you.